Hello, welcome to the HighWire Counter 5 reporting webinar. My name is Oliver White. I'm the Director of Engineering at HighWire. So I will make this webinar quite quick in terms of the content. Most of this information you probably already know, so that will give us plenty of time at the end of this session for any kind of questions you might have that might be specific to your requirements and your implementations of the 5-star project. So let me just move on to the first slide. So we're going to be covering a few sections. What is 5-star? And then we're going to talk about the timeline of the events of how we're implementing and rolling out the 5-star application. And I'll be able to give you a very, very quick preview of the dashboard. Just a few kind of screenshots of what you can expect when you actually log into our system to request the 5-star Counter 5 reports. And then obviously at the end, we'll have the Q&A session. So what is 5-star? Well, 5-star is a standalone Counter 5 report generation system. It's similar to the existing star system that you're familiar with, in that it collects data in real time, as opposed to processing log files daily or monthly that some other Counter 5 solutions out there do. Now, the first phase of 5-star is to actually facilitate Counter 5 report generation with minimal disruption and changes required to existing star customer sites. Now, in order to achieve this, we have built something we called the 5-star relay. And that sits on the existing star listeners, which as you can guess, relays the events to our new 5-star system. Now, this particular component has already been rolled out. It's been tested, and it's reliably forwarding all existing kind of events that are reported to star, and they are already being collected in our 5-star system. So I can confidently say that we've been hammering it for the last couple of days with stress testing, load testing, disaster recovery, and we are confident that come 1st of January, all events will be relayed onto our 5-star system, and we have built a system that at the last check is capable of sustaining approximately 1,000 times the level of requests that we currently get now across all publishers put together. So it will scale very nicely. It's set up for the future, and it's set up for us to actually facilitate more publishers to use this Counter 5 solution as time goes on. Now, the star service, the existing star service, we do intend to run it for an additional 2 years. And during that time, you will have continued access to all your star Counter 4 reports, as well as getting the new Counter 5 reports from our 5-star dashboard. There is a requirement with the Counter 5 specifications that they do need to be able to kind of look back for the previous 2 years' data. So that's one of the reasons we're keeping it. But we're also acutely aware that some of the Counter 5 specifications are not finalized yet. And I'm sure this may be one of the questions that might come up in regards to consortia reports. Keeping star running with the Counter 4 reports means you potentially get the best of both worlds, because you can still get those reports, consortia reports, that are probably important to your business operations, and at the same time you will have the Counter 5 compliant reports from the 5-star dashboard. Once Counter have finalized their implementation for the consortia style reports, we'll be building those in as well. We already know what the solution looks like. We already know how to implement that from a technical kind of standpoint. But of course, we don't want to jump the gun. We just want to wait for that kind of like final kind of like definition from them, and then we will implement it as quickly as possible. Something else that might come up is that we do fully intend on supporting all the standard Counter 5 reports and all the sushi reports as well. Another item that's worth mentioning, the 5-star application, our intention is for it to be centrally audited. So once the 5-star application has been audited and certified as, Counter 5 compliant, all publishers utilizing the 5-star application will no longer need to arrange for their own independent counter audits. Now, other implications here is that if you have already had your counter for audits, you are actually compliant for the 12 months. The compliance is not specific on which version, counter 4, counter 5. So once you've had the audits and you're compliant for a year. So that obviously by the time we get our 5-star application audited, we're probably looking into February or March, because obviously it needs data in there in order for the independent auditors to actually conduct these audits. So there should be absolutely fine in terms of the overlap and the crossover. But what this does mean in the future is that there'll be less cost to yourselves because the audits will be done centrally. So I'll just quickly talk through the timeline of events. Some of these things have already taken place. So on December the 12th, we upgraded the existing star system with the 5-star relay. So at the moment that went live, that started pushing events into our 5-star application. And from the 12th of December till tomorrow, that's when we will be rolling out various minor updates required for the additional parameters that are required to actually make these counter reports compliant for the counter 5 standard. Without going into too much of the heavy technical details, there's one particular parameter which is a unique session ID that can be supplied from the site, needs to be added to actually along with the events that the star application currently requires to be relayed on to 5-star. All of that has already been tested. We've rolled out a few sites already, and that should be completed tomorrow and by the latest end of this week. So you can all rest assured, come 1st of January, all the events and all the data will be captured. December 17th, yesterday, we have got an implementation guide. This is only really relevant for any sites that are non-HighWire hosted. So I see we have Ben from Bloomsbury here. That might be relevant to you guys, but I know we have been communicating quite closely with the implications of the counter 5 requirements. So this guide is available. If you haven't received one, please contact your account manager. We can get one sent out to you, no problem at all. And obviously, if there's any kind of further assistance you do require from the implementation, by all means, contact your account manager, and we are on hand ready to actually assist with that in any way possible. Now, December 20th, live counter events collected in 5-star, stress and dust recovery tests conducted in 5-star systems. That's actually ongoing. We've been doing that a lot. Yesterday, our systems team have come back with some interesting data. We're in a position where we can handle 4,000 concurrent requests per second. And as I said, this is hundreds of times more than what we actually normally get in terms of real life requests on the star system as it stands. So January 1st, live 2019 data collection in 5-star. That's already happening, but obviously all of December data is meaningless. And so that we're just using that for testing and checking out report formats. And then come January 16th, we will be sending out the 5-star dashboard account credentials to all the users so that you'll be able to log into the dashboard. And on February the 1st, you'll be able to actually generate and pull down the first counter 5 reports for January 2019. And this, of course, is because one of the conditions for the counter reporting is that you can only pull reports that cover the full month. Or even though we could build it in such a way where you can give you real-time data if we wanted to, but that is the kind of like the requirement from counter 5. So that's a timeline. I'm now going to give you a very, very quick dashboard preview. So what we have here is a basic sign-in screen. As I mentioned, we will be sending out usernames and passwords. What essentially we'll be doing is we'll be taking the existing star application database with all the accounts that are set up. We'll be mapping that over to the 5-star application and communicating, the credentials out to all the relevant users on the 16th of January. Of course, if you require new accounts to be created, that's absolutely fine. We can actually put those in place. If I flick onto the next screen. So this is what the page would look like where you can actually request your reports. So counter 5 reports, you've got your platform you can choose from. There'll be a drop down with different report types. and then you'll be able to put in your start and end dates. Obviously, that's going to be just in full month blocks. Hitting the generate report will allow you to then download the actual report. Now, I believe Cantor 5 allows for the report to be in one of two formats. I think it supports a CSV as well as JSON. We probably can support other formats if required. It's not much for us to actually render the actual results in different types of data formats. We also have on our sort of like roadmap a additional layer we're going to be adding to the dashboard application to allow for publishers to manage sub-accounts. So that would be quite useful. So you wouldn't have to, go to Salesforce and raise a request to add bits and pieces. We're going to put together quite a comprehensive kind of toolkit in this dashboard system for you to actually manage the different kind of like types of customers you might have that you want access to the reports, and you'll be able to collect a type of hosting that they have, and that will define which reports are relevant to them. So that drop down where it says report on that screen, that drop down will be context sensitive based on the type of user connected, and that will determine the type of reports that will be available to them. Okay, so as I said, a lot of the information I've talked about you probably already knew. So I'm going to open up to any kind of questions. So please feel free to type in any kind of questions into the questions area on your GoToWebinar control panel, and I'll pick them up and answer accordingly. Okay, I've got a question from Lauren. Has some questions about specific sample reports we sent over. Hi, Lauren. We can probably set up a one-to-one to talk about those. We are actually going to be doing another round of sample reports because now that we've got actual real live data, December data coming into the system, we're probably going to do another round of actually generating all of the reports as we're building them out. So obviously, we're coming up to the 4 days before the office closure. Our focus has been actually making sure that we're capturing everything. So the reports, we made a lot of headway with the reports and the actual reporting kind of dashboard for generating reports. But the lot of the reporting work is going to be in the first week of January. But as I say, we do intend to run some more kind of sample reports to send out. But if you can get in touch with Sam, I'm sure she'll be happy to arrange a one-to-one. We can have another session. We can talk about these specifically. Fine. In which case, I will speak to Sam, and we can arrange a session, and we can talk through them specifically. Does anybody else have a question? Well, we have 15 minutes. What I might do, I'll see if I can actually open up the microphone. Perhaps then we can actually do it by voice. Hi, you can now all unmute yourselves. So, Lauren, if you would like to ask me any specific questions, maybe I can actually tackle some of them now in regards to the reports.
Sure. I mean, they were pretty specific to, like, it wasn't specific to our data as much as to some of what was on the report that I wasn't clear about. Like on the BR1 report, I was trying to understand the difference between the total item request and the unique item request, and whether the report's going to provide totals for both of those.
Good question. I couldn't answer that one offhand. What we're doing is that all of those fields that you see in those reports, what we've done is literally generate reports that adhere to the format that Counter5 expects. So how that data is going to pull through when it comes from obviously all the data that's relayed from the star system to Counter5, we can drop in. But I can get that clarified. Let me just jot that down as an action to actually check. So it is the total items and unique items, whether you're going to get both of those counts coming through. That's the question. Am I right?
Yeah, and whether it's going to provide, like in the summary up top, whether it's going to provide totals for both of those, because obviously, like, if the difference is that, like, they'll only ever get, you know, regardless of how many hits they have in a particular book, it's always going to say 1 for total.
Right.
Total, you know, I wanted to make sure we're going to be telling them, you know, total overall and total unique.
Okay.
And not so. And I think the report, the sample that was sent, just showed total unique, and you know, so that was concerning to me.
Okay. I will check that. And that was the BR1 report you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then my other question was that the IR report, and I was just trying to verify whether that was going to show, whether for Access Science that will show the individual article usage like we get on the TR3 report now.
Okay.
I hadn't thought there was a solution currently, which I thought was a potential problem for science, you know, that we were trying to figure out, you know, how to outside of counter them. But then when I saw the item report, it looked like that might do that, provide what we needed.
Yeah, I believe I was looking at some of the new fields that Counter5 includes, and these are totally optional fields, so they're not required for compliance, as it were. But I noticed there's something called article type that you can distinguish for each of the kind of the event hits. So there could well be a solution there already. So I'll take that away as well to check. So so it's at an article level. Okay.
Yeah, so it was whether that IR report, whether maybe that IR report just wasn't on your initial list of the reports you were doing. I'm not sure, but it was in the samples you sent over.
Oh yeah, that was
that's what we needed for science, but I wasn't 100% sure.
We'll definitely check. We'll check on that. So I mean, that was a very small sample of reports. We are actually at launch. We are going to be covering all the Counter5 standard reports, and there's nothing stopping us producing further customized reports. But that's kind of like a second phase. We're actually quite excited with the 5-star system. We are potentially looking at perhaps even kind of like productizing this, but that's, you know, as I say, that's just in discussion. But we have got a plan of various things we want to do with it, and as I say, custom reporting and being able to actually aggregate multiple platforms to put into a single report, we've heard could be a very, very useful feature for some publishers. So the cool thing is that implementing those things are fairly straightforward. The way we've structured it and the way we built 5-star will allow us to produce those things really, really well. But our primary focus, because of the timeline of this, and we've had to kind of do this in a very much a condensed time, is to A, get the compliance, B, make sure we're capturing all the events. Because as long as we capture all the events, even if some of the reports aren't quite right, or some of the things we roll out in January, even if they go wrong, it's fine, because we've built a system where we can replay a lot of these events very quickly and independently of other publishers' data. So not only that, it introduces additional kind of security kind of like features, things like, you know, GDPR considerations and so forth, in that we have got separate kind of like a database zones for all the data, a separate kind of streaming kind of channels. So there's not even any chance of kind of data kind of bleeding over from one installation to another. So we're very confident that come January, we got all the data there, and the way we're storing the data, tweaking the actual reports and the queries is going to be a lot easier than say what we had with the STAR system previously.
Okay. And yeah, and then I think we just have to make sure, and this I'll discuss with Sam, but for access engineering and access science, because access engineering isn't moving to Counter 5 till June, that we just have to, and we have customers on both platforms that are used to getting their data combined.
Right, yes.
So we need to make sure that, they realize they're going to have to go to two different places to pull that data starting February 1st, right?
Yes, I mean, initially, obviously you can still get order counter 4 data, and then initially you can go to this 5-star dashboard to get both lots. And as I mentioned, we can quite easily aggregate it so that you can actually get your access science and access engineering kind of data all together. It's a very small piece of work for us to facilitate that. But obviously, come June, when you have your client platform switchover, that's when it gets interesting. Because what we have here with this 5-star solution, and I can't promise this because I can't speak for what our product team's intentions are, but what we have here with this 5-star solution could actually solve a lot of kind of interesting problems that some other publishers have, where they have, it's a similar scenario to you guys, really. We have some publishers where they got some sites hosted with HighWire and some sites not. And trying to reconcile all that data together and put it all together can be quite challenging if you've got different kind of like Counter 5 reporting tools being used on the site. And so what we have here, the 5-star system we've built now, is platform agnostic, and it can be deployed anywhere. And because of the way we built it, as I mentioned, we can tweak some queries and pull together aggregated reports very easily. But as I say, I'll go away and check all of those questions that you had, and then we'll make sure that we everything we know we'll pass on to you.
Okay, and then just my only other question was, I think you said something in the presentation about Counter 5 not allowing partial monthly data. So I just wasn't clear if that meant that they don't allow you to like pick a date period within the month, or are you saying that, like, I remember when we had Counter 3, you couldn't actually pull January data at all until February 1st. Right. And then when we went to Counter 4, you could pull January data anytime in the month of January. It just would always be cumulative. You couldn't restrict it to a smaller time period than the full month. So yeah. I just wasn't sure, so what is it with Counter 5? Can you still pull the data partly into the month, or does it not go up until the end of the month?
Right, I will have to check in terms of Counter 5 have stated in their specification that the reports generate have to be the full month. Now, whether we would incur the wrath if we allow our customers to actually access what we built here, in theory, you can almost have it in real time. If you wanted to actually run a report every 2 minutes to see what happened in the last 24 hours, 40 hours, technologically wise, yes, we can do that. But we just need to make sure that we're not sort of like going beyond the kind of like realms of breaking compliance by allowing reports to have partial months. So that's something we need to look into. But in terms of the capability, yes, absolutely, our system will allow that. And then I dare say we could probably set up a separate screen in our 5-star dashboard that allows you to pull reports that we can call them something else, but certainly the Counter 5 reports, what Counter 5 would audit and look at, they need to be full month.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just, messaging us correctly to customers then, and like not making January available until February 1 then, right? Whereas,
yes.
And then just in the communications to customers, because if that's the change, because Counter 4 would allow you to pull, January at any point, what you can't do is say, you know, January 1st through 15th, right? You have to pull the whole month.
Yes, yeah. So I think there's
I think we just
the
have to ensure we're clear on how that is going to work and that we communicate it.
yes, absolutely. We need that clarified. Some of the, to say, we did struggle with some of the actual kind of 5 specification. We have been in communication with them to get various things clarified. But certainly, you know, once that's clarified, we don't really have to do anything. We just change those drop downs on that screen, and in theory, you'd be able to like pull data from any time periods really.
Okay.
I have a question from Gabrielle mentioning where you'll be able to get hold of recording of the webinar. I couldn't tell you offhand. Our marketing department has facilitated this webinar, but I'm sure we'll be able to communicate to everybody where this webinar can be downloaded. So it has been recorded if you need to refer to it in the future. We have a couple of minutes left. Do we have any more questions? You can unmute yourself now, by the way. I have allowed that. So if anybody has any questions they would like to ask vocally, that's fine. Please do. Okay, so if we don't have any further questions, thank you for attending. And as always, if you have any kind of concerns or questions at all regarding 5-star, Counter 5, and counter reporting in general, please don't hesitate to contact us, either via your account manager or through support, and we will assist you any way we possibly can. Again, thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.